It's Doug and Mike, Vomit Rainbows, episode uno.
This is very exciting for us.
Uno. We don't even have a theme song.
No, we don't have a theme song, but we are taking submissions.
Yes.
So anyone who has a great idea for a theme song, please just send it directly to us. You can send it to contact@vomitingrainbows.com.
Yep.
And then we're down to check it out.
Yeah, in our first episode, I thought it went smoother than I had anticipated.
Yeah, we dude, I don't think we anticipated very much.
This is true. When you set your standards low, you'll never be disappointed. And if you listen to this podcast, you'll realize that.
Right.
It'll be a big takeaway. But we talked about some stabbings or shootings.
Yeah, in Russell Square. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of tried to lighten it up a little bit, talking about Miss Cleo.
And how she died.
Because that's a light subject. And then we just kind of went on into some reality television and Pretty Wild.
And what was the thing we talked about? Image boarding?
Image boarding or vision boarding.
Vision boarding. We also talk a little bit about the dark web, which I found fascinating.
Yes, we did. We kind of went all over the place. But what you should do is just listen to it and see what you think.
There you go. Here's episode 1. We Vomit Rainbows. Okay, and then you got a name for it you want to call it, or?
Yeah, so I had two ideas. One was explosive news.
Okay.
The other was botched news.
Okay.
And then the other concept was vomiting rainbows.
Vomiting rainbows, okay.
So you're whatever you think would be funnier.
I like vomiting rainbows.
Okay, vomiting rainbows is the podcast.
Yes, vomit. That has. Yeah. I mean that. I think a name like vomiting rainbows leaves it wide open. You can cover anything with a name like vomiting rainbows.
Dude, I just thought of that on the way over.
Everything's been taken. Isn't that the problem with the internet, though, Doug? Is that everything's already been done?
Well,
even if that's not being used, like someone's thought of it and put it on the internet.
Well, this is a meme.
Yeah. So, still, right?
Yeah. So
how does that work legally? You have to say Vomiting Rainbows podcast, and then we're something different, or the Vomiting Rainbow?
Basically, you just don't want to step on anyone's toes.
What is it called now on the internet? What's there already?
It's Vomiting Rainbows. Literally.
What if we just call it the Vomiting Rainbow?
Ooh,
is that different enough?
The Reading Rainbow?
Yeah.
So this will be the Vomiting Rainbow.
Yeah. Or is that too close? That's the thing is the problem with me is you're far more plugged into the internet kind of etiquette than I am. Like, I don't understand it. To me, it's like the Wild West.
I think it could be Mike and Doug Vomit Rainbows.
Mike and Doug Vomit Rainbows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that?
Sure. It's always good to throw your name on it.
Right, exactly. So we'll just call it Mike and Doug Vomit Rainbows.
Okay.
And then it'll just be a picture of the two of us. And then we'll have the little rainbow thing. We'll just use Snapchat. Now, I think since this is our first podcast, we have to make a goal. Like, if we do 10 of these, do we get vomiting unicorns? Tattoos.
How into this are we, or is this lifetime commitment?
Okay, first of all, I think you and I both know you will get the tattoo, and I will get a temporary tattoo.
Yeah. How come you've never got a tattoo? Actually, that's surprising me.
Well, I think we know that I have commitment issues.
Yeah.
And I think long time commitment to something like a vomiting rainbow. I don't think I could get the tattoo.
But maybe that would help you in other ways, in other areas of your life.
Other areas of my life.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
You know what I think we should do is if we make it to 10 episodes.
Yes.
We make T-shirts.
Okay. Fair enough. I was going to make a T-shirt at the end of this episode.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Well, yeah, I think we'll put up a website for sure.
Yeah,
because that's something that I can do.
Definitely. So, Doug, what is the concept of this podcast, by the way?
The concept is basically that you and I both are very interested in what I would say is the news, but from an in-depth angle. You want to know a little bit more about news.
Definitely.
And so we're going to look at a couple of news stories and kind of step through them.
Okay.
Does my Dr. Pepper make the noise?
It's making me thirsty is what's making me.
Well, you can have a Coca-Cola cherry.
Oh, yeah, man.
Diet Coke cherry. Coke Zero.
We're getting crazy. Now, are they sponsoring this? Is that why we're mentioning them? What's going on with that?
No.
How does that work, Doug?
Actually, we should do a shout out because we are basically going down the heavy.com.
Okay, heavy.com. Okay,
yeah.
so we're hitting all the news stories on Heavy, which is cool. It's a great website.
Right.
And what I like about this website, if you don't have a lot of time to really, I don't know, we're overloaded with news nowadays, right? So heavy.com kind of breaks it down for you. And like you said earlier, it kind of goes a little bit deeper than just the headlines and some paragraph that an intern wrote. It seems like when I go to this website, it seems like whoever is behind this takes time.
Yes. And
there's some clarity there and lots of good information.
Right. And then the other thing that's pretty cool about the Heavy is they know that everyone's ADD.
Yeah. Definitely.
So no one has time to like really pay attention to anything. So it gives you a bunch of facts, but it's fast enough that you can get in depth into a story as much as you want, and then you can start diving in more.
And then you can go to Google if you want to learn more. Did these guys have? I'm surprised they don't have like the like the timer for the you know what I'm talking about, like the timers for the articles on the internet, or is that a thought I had? You know what I'm talking about? Where like you'll go to a website, don't they have this? Or is this something I dreamt of? Where like say if you go like you read a story about Hulk Hogan and the headline's like Hulk Hogan's a maniac, and then it would say like 4 minutes, like it'll take you 4 minutes to read this article.
Oh no,
people don't do that. Is that a new idea?
That's a new idea.
It's a great idea, right?
Well, I feel like everyone knows that you have a certain time limit to be like an attention span in which people are going to really quickly like pay attention.
But that way you can sit there and go, okay, if I want to read this whole article, it's going to take me 4 minutes.
Right.
And you kind of, depending on your reading level, I guess, right?
Right. I would say I'm a little bit slower.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. The Hulk Hogan article I just made up will take Doug a half hour to read.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't exist.
And if it has pictures, that's a whole another thing. Like basically in preparation for this, I've done nothing.
Yeah.
So
me neither.
So basically I'm going to read you about a story.
Okay.
And then I'm going to kind of my whole thing is that you are charismatic enough that you're going to speak.
Man, that's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
Now, do I get to read the stories too, or you just throw them?
No. I'm going to throw them out at you, but you can read them if you want.
Okay.
Or you can look at the pictures. I'm going to see like which ones seem interesting right now, and I think the big one probably right now is there was just a knife attack in Russell Square.
Yeah.
And a woman was killed. 5 people were injured in a knife attack in Russell Square in London. There was a suspect on the scene. He was taken into custody. Police say there was a call at around 11:33, and this is almost verbatim off of Heavy.
Yeah.
And there was a guy seen injuring people on Russell Square. They say it's a possible terror attack, but this to me seems like another one. What was the last knife attack?
Well, there's knife attacks all the time. They happen all over the place. Japan. I mean, I remember the one.
Wasn't it Japan the last one?
Yeah, I think so. But there was a gnarly one in London. Maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, where they cut that dude's head off. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, like straight up. And the guy was back from serving somewhere. He was in a uniform or something. And some dude, like these dudes came up and they in broad daylight.
And they caught him on video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had. Do you remember that now?
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I remember. I was like so shocked. It was like, oh my god. I mean, and it's hard to get shocked nowadays, right? Because everything's just so over the top and it's so violent, so graphic, and everything's on videotape. But I mean, I remember when that happened, and I'm like, they just cut a guy's head off and filmed it and posted it to social media. Where do we go from that?
Yeah, but they didn't.
No, it's people that
was just people who were there who were like, oh my god, I see this happening. I can't believe this is going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess I understand. Like you don't want to throw your phone at the guy because you spent a lot of money for it and stuff, and you don't want to try to stop him because you don't want to get your head cut off. But
right.
I mean, that's some like serious detachment to see someone getting attacked with like a cleaver and just be like, oh man, I got to get this.
Yeah, but this was in London, so the cops came up to him with like billy clubs and beat him down.
Yeah.
And they
this current attack.
No.
The other
I think
one.
that other one as well. I just remember cops like swarming in on the guy, and he took out like a bunch of other people.
Yeah,
and then the cops swarmed on him. But this again shows you it doesn't matter what the weapon is. A weapon's a weapon, and people who are crazy are going to use something.
For sure. No, definitely. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, So what's the what are the comments like? What's the takeaway on this, Doug? Is this just like another horrible thing that's happening? Is it going to be tied to terrorism? Like, what's your call on this?
Well, I think. Well, let's see. so far they've taken a suspect into custody.
Yeah, because now anytime something happens like this, you're like, ISIS. It's ISIS.
Right.
It's ISIS. You know,
Well,
like anytime anything happens.
Well, and I feel like the people who are doing this, no matter what their mental state is, they're going to use terror as their reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
So it's very rare when you see like other people who have plotted or come up, like the one guy who was shot just recently. He actually posted a video online saying, I'm not a terrorist. I'm doing this for like the cause of African Americans in the United States and all the things that happened up to this. Like, I think people now and mentally unstable people who are doing like actions like this are now having to put forth something ahead of time to say, I'm not a terrorist. Yeah. In the traditional ISIS way.
That's what I mean.
I'm a terrorist in a different way.
I mean, I remember
horrifying.
Yeah, like, and I remember growing up where there was just like the guy who was unstable that was just like a serial killer, like a butcher knife guy. You know, like all those horror movies were made of. Like that's kind of like what happened. Every once in a while, there'd be some crazy dude that would like knife people, you know, or his family or something. But now, like you're saying, like now there's reasons behind it, and they're doing it for a purpose, and which I think distinguishes it from a true act of kind of insanity to like something that's premeditated, which kind of makes it even more insane.
Right. I think it's kind of what's going on in the U.S. right now. People are like up in arms, and people who have no ability to curtail their feelings or vent in a proper way.
Yeah.
Vent in completely irrational and inappropriate ways. And it's just insane.
Yeah, if you're going around and stabbing random people, like that's an inappropriate way to handle your issues. I mean,
just a disclaimer.
Yeah, just put it out there. I mean, because it used to be like, it used to be that people would stab people they knew for things that the people did to them or whatever. But now it's just, it's so random. I think that's the thing that is so kind of baffling about this whole thing is that I could be walking down the street and some guy runs up to me and just starts stabbing me, and like I wasn't even a jerk to him. It's like. Right. Come on, man! Like, at least let me like do something to you first.
Right. Well, and the woman in this that unfortunately passed away, but she they don't even know if there's any relationship with her and the attacker. Like, this could have been like a spat, like a lover's quarrel, or something of that nature. But I mean, someone gets attacked. They're violent acts that happen all the time.
Yeah.
And now they're almost taking main stage all the time.
For sure.
And it's now immediately going to the point of terrorism.
I mean, if you thought, I would have never have guessed it, 5 years ago. Well, I didn't think there were podcasts 5 years ago that I really knew about. But if the first thing you're talking about in your first podcast is a horrible stabbing, that just shows you how dominant it is, on the news. It's insane. Yeah. But what are the answers? What are the solutions? Knife-proof vests. Like, how do you prepare yourself or defend yourself against, acts like this in a world where they seem to be happening all the time?
Well, it seems that way, but obviously it's not. We're going to walk out of this place.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
What's the answer, Doug? Kung Fu? I mean, what is it?
No, there's obviously it's just drink a lot of beer.
Exactly.
No, I think there is no answer. I mean, it's just live your life and go out and not worry about this stuff.
Yeah.
And if it starts happening, or just do what you and I had talked about before, run and hide, duck and cover.
Is dropping in the fetal position, sucking your thumb, and crying like a baby? Does that work?
I think that's an effective. It's like, very effective.
Please.
Yeah. So, if you look at this, one of the things, the police were dispatched right away.
Yeah.
And now they've completely saturated the area, and so everyone has taken photos of this, like the area that's going on. They were only exploring terrorism.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's already. On my way over here, I was trying to catch some of Trump's speech.
Yeah.
And it was interrupted by this.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, that shows you how in the forefront it is.
It is kind of weird, though, like when you think about, like if you look at like violence in public violence in a historical perspective, like you think about back in the day, Like, if we had a disagreement and, like, we knew each other, we would say, let's go have a duel out in the street. And we literally would go out there, take 20 paces, turn around and shoot each other.
Well,
over disagreement.
Yeah.
This isn't out of the realm of history by any stretch of imagination.
Oh, no.
But I think what happens is that, the majority of people are trying to be more civilized as time goes on. So when you have like a throwback violent act, it's more and more shocking. But you think back in the day, people were stabbing and hitting each other with bricks all the time. that was just kind of like a Monday morning on the way to work, right?
Oh yeah. It's we live in a town that was so violent they had a choice between the book that was written about San Francisco or the book that was written about New York.
Yeah.
And they thought they decided Gangs of New York was probably a little less violent than how San Francisco was at the time.
Yeah.
And people were just running around and they're like, "Oh, I don't like you." And they'd stab each other.
Yeah. That was a great movie, by the way, Gangs of New York.
Yes.
Bill the Butcher. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
But you're saying it should have been like, Bill the Butcher from Baker Street, San Francisco.
Here we had gangs of thugs running around, and that was considered law and order.
Yeah.
The Big Four.
Huh. Is that what they were called, the Big Four?
Yeah.
I thought that was like a tour of that Metallica did with like Slayer, Exodus, and Anthrax or something.
Well, aren't they all from here?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
They're not all from here, but Metallica probably set that all up.
Yeah, they did.
They probably went to like the Big Four restaurant, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we should totally do this.
Let's do this, man.
Let's do this. Oh no, let's go to Tommy's first. Let's call it Tommy's Four."
That's right. Huh.
Yeah, just so people know, these are all references to San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Tommy's Joint. That's where Metallica. That's where they used to eat.
Yeah,
when they played here, and that's where they when they got Jason Newsted in the band, that's where they'd bring him and like make him drink beer till he threw up out of his nose and do all this horrible rad stuff.
Yeah, it was like their indoctrination process.
And of course, you'd expect that, right? I think the thing with Jason Newsted, who replaced their original bass player Cliff Burton, is that he didn't expect like the hazing to last like his entire career with Metallica. Like, he thought probably like after maybe, hey, I did one record, can we just be cool now? And it just never was.
Who was the other guy? Dave Mustaine.
Yeah,
Dave Mustaine, was he taken there? And then they like gave him like some beer, and then they're like, "Hey, by the way, you're out of the band.
You're out of the band. Walk home.
You're out of the band. Do you want some like roast beef or
walk home to Los Angeles?
Right.
Goodbye."
So I think the other thing about this whole stabbing that occurred is it's the reason that it kind of lends itself to a possible terror attack. It's the exact site of the London bombings in 2005.
Oh, wow.
So that's why people are kind of leaning towards, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the guy's trying to, make it like a memorial attack or something, or some kind of,
Yeah, it happened in July last year, so it happened in 2005, but
the thing is, if you're like totally out of your mind, it's August right now, but that it's close enough to July. Like, he might have been like, "Oh, that was what I wanted to do last month. I better do it sooner than later."
Or maybe in his mind, it's still July.
Exactly. Who knows? It might be. Yeah. Who knows? That's horrible, man.
Yeah. So that's our first attempt at a story.
Yeah, I like that, Doug.
Yeah.
You start off nice and light, Yeah,
nice just something a little. I feel like we should follow that up with something, a little different, like maybe the fact that Miss Cleo died.
Oh, no way!
Yeah,
God, this is like horrible news. We should call this like what is the name of it? Pooping Rainbows? What is it? Vomiting
Rainbows.
Mike and Doug vomit rainbows.
Yeah, Mike and Doug vomit rainbows. But again, this is not. I saw the band Passenger.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you know Passenger well, but he got up on stage and he goes, "Who's ready to rock?" And the whole crowd's like, "Oh!" And they're like all crazy about it. And then he goes, "Cool, you should go somewhere else because I'm depressing as fuck."
Oh, no way. Yeah. That's kind of what this is then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're
finding our stride.
Right. And I don't know if vomiting rainbows is the appropriate term, but, we could.
It's good.
Yeah, we could.
It's the dichotomy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That kind of bums me out that Cleo died, man. Mm-hmm. Because that was that. This is the thing. It's an end of an era, really. To think that people used to call in on a telephone to get pre-recorded advice from some stranger that had enough money to get some TV ads, and she turned that into like a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing, too, is she came up with her own personality.
Yeah.
So she was from L.A., but she said she was from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was trying to lend credence to, like, her ability to tell the future of people. Really?
But that's what's so crazy. Like, you would call and get, like, pre-recorded stuff, like, press 1 if you're a man, or, whatever. It would be, like, some kind of weird phone
call.
Not that I would know that.
It sounds like you gave it a little try. You're like, I'm having a hard day. I need to talk to Miss Cleo.
Well, this is the thing. You got to think. I mean, I remember commercials, dead on, and it's just, this was before, like, reality TV. Like, think about it. If she was coming out now, she would have a sex tape out. There would be all this crazy stuff that she does. She would, you know what I mean? It would just be ridiculous. But she was like old school, just wanting to scam people out of their money for telling the future. Like that's there's something beautiful about that.
There's something wonderful about that.
It really is.
Well, if you think of it, Harry Houdini started off that way.
Yeah.
So his whole thing was, I can tell you, like, I can speak to dead people. I can tell you your future, all of these things. And then he felt really bad about it and spent the rest of his life trying to debunk it.
Well, see, this is the weird thing, though, okay? Because we can sit here and say, oh, it's not, it's not real, it's not true. But have you ever noticed in any town you go to, there's a fortune teller?
Oh.
Like, even like you'll go out to suburbs in the Bay Area. Like, you'll go out to Dublin. You'll be going down, like, the main Dublin Boulevard or whatever. And you'll see, like, an old house, and it's, like, fortune teller with, like, a crystal ball in the window. And you're like, how is that possible? Like, everywhere you go, there's someone that can tell the future.
So I'm from Manassas, Virginia. It's a tiny town in the middle. Shut up. But, it's like a tiny town, and it has 2 fortune tellers.
2?
Yeah. And
2?
Yeah. It's crazy.
And have you ever, do you know who they are? Like, my point is like, oh, that's Rebecca. She works at Safeway, and that's like her side gig.
Right. I'm sure people know.
Who they are?
I don't know them.
We got to find out.
Yeah.
Especially if there's 2 of them.
Yeah, there's
and
2 of them.
Are you sure it's not the same person and they just kind of like run from...
They have 2 locations.
Yeah, they have 2 locations.
They started franchising.
Yeah, they run from one to the other.
Well, if you look at this, Miss Cleo, like, at one point had charged customers over $1 billion.
Oh, my God.
And then she got fined $5 million.
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah.
I'll write that check.
Exactly. So she,
wow.
that's pretty, like, almost up to $60 a call.
That just goes to show you, like, what a simple time the world was just a few decades ago. Now think about how complex it is to scam people or hustle people like that, over the phone.
Yeah, I feel like hustling is just so much more complex now.
It's high tech. You have to rob a bank, or you have to do something like, you have to do heavy crimes.
Right. Well, like, Bitcoin dropped substantially today or yesterday out of a hack. Yeah. Imagine how complex that hack was to get. I think they got like 60 million or something like that.
Do you use Bitcoin? Are you know?
I
want to use Bitcoin, but then I'm like, why? I don't understand. I'm supposed to give money. I'm supposed to give my real currency to made up currency, which I guess all currency in a sense is made up, right? But it just seems a little dicey to me.
Yeah. Well, so I did this. It's really hard to get back when I was trying to get a Bitcoin or several Bitcoins. It was really hard to do. So I had to buy like some
guns or drugs or
no. So what I was trying to buy, and this shows you how badass I am, is I wanted to impress my brother-in-law and come home with like some super illegal. We do a fireworks display every year.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come home with like the big mortar, like one huge mortar firework. Like
a bazooka round. Or
right.
Something.
Exactly. Something that the Washington Monument would shoot off or something like that, and just scare the absolute shit out of him.
Yeah.
And so I got on there. I got my Bitcoin in. I found the legal fireworks section, and I was ready to buy. And then that guy who was running Silk Road got busted.
Oh, wow. So it was done.
And then it was over. Yeah. And that's where my Bitcoin was. And the U.S. government commandeered all of the Bitcoins there.
Yeah. See, and that's, I think a lot of people, we're looking at heavy.com. A lot of people are really connected to the internet, and it's, it's become part of everyone's daily life, whether it's social media or news feeds or whatever. But then, there's the whole dark web, right? And I kind of know about it, but I don't know about it. And like, you have to know coding to get on it. And then it boggles the mind that there's more than just like the known internets.
Right.
That there's other levels of it. But that was my understanding, was like that was the place where, once you had Bitcoin, then you could basically buy everything that was illegal. Like it was almost like whatever kind of contraband or illegal thing you wanted to get, that's where you went and that's what you spent, because there was no kind of trace of it. But it seems so wacky to me. Well,
and then this guy who had an absolute fortune, he was worth, like, Silk Road had amassed huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
And I guess he got hurt, or like the guy who busted him or like outed him.
Yeah.
This is what he actually got in trouble for, as far as I remember. He got in trouble for putting a hit out on him on Silk Road.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah. Again, you can't stab people.
Why is it? Like,
you can't.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you have like all the money, and like if you have like, let's just say he had well over 100 million, I think.
Yeah.
If you have 100 million, like, take that money and like go to the Bahamas and chill for a bit and like think on it.
Yeah. Or if you really don't like this guy, say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you $10 million to like just leave, like go do something else, just get away from me, like, right? I mean, I don't know.
Or give him $10 million to say I made it all up.
Yeah, something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what would it, like, imagine this guy actually got busted. I'm guessing like the amount of time that he was looking at was probably minimal compared to like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that he would have walked away with.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the way it always is, though? Like when people, quote unquote, break the law, they never know when to walk away.
No.
Right? And so they end up losing everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think look at that drug dealer who
they made the movie about.
Yeah. And the one that Sean Penn went to go interview.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what's that dude's name, man? How come I can't remember that? El Chapo.
Yeah. So El Chapo, his whole thing is like he got busted for exactly that. Like his head was just too big.
He's too wacky. He's like, oh, Sean Penn wants to talk to me. Like, okay, yeah. Like,
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like,
no, dude.
I can't quit this lifestyle.
And I'm surprised Sean Penn didn't end up in a box, man, because it's like you figure, he's the reason that they got El Chapo. Like you'd figure, even if it was unintentional, you would think that dude had, has people that are like, we got to get, like, that guy put our boss in jail.
Yeah.
Payback. I don't care who he is. Like,
Well, even the fact that, like, Sean Penn, he, like, walked away from this thing, he didn't put him in jail. Like, he refused to talk about, like, how he got there. I think it was actually his girlfriend. Somehow they traced his girlfriend and found where they were meeting up.
Yeah.
But I think she was the one that introduced Penn and El Chapo.
Yeah.
And then he got to sit down with him. But even after all that, like, you think Sean Penn is now just like, he's just got to be the coolest dude. He's like, I'm going to go talk to El Chapo.
Yeah.
Like, and he just made that happen.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you and I wanted to go talk to like some drug dealer, like the biggest drug dealer in the world, we'd be like, okay, who do we call?
You just got to go to Hunter's Point, dude.
His name is Bill.
Yeah.
I know him really well.
Yeah. Or it's a pharmaceutical company.
So here's another little fact that you didn't know about Miss Cleo. She was lesbian.
Really?
Did not know that.
I did not know that.
I feel like that would have, like, and if she were still cranking it out, like the advice and everything, she should have come out, and then boom, she'd be back. She'd be back in the news, and it would have been. I
don't know why, but it seems like you know what I'm kind of realizing, and I know this is like I don't know what this is. I'm trying to think, like, most of my lesbian friends, like, I think I would trust their advice more than most of my straight friends.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Why is that?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah. I think it would be, like, unadulterated. Like, there's no...
like, they're just like, you know why? Because they have no interest in me.
Yeah.
At all. Like, they're not, like, there's no... They're like, dude, you're a guy.
Well,
pretty much hate all men. I'm just kind of friends with you.
Absolutely. Lesbians do not hate all men. Another disclaimer. But no, I would say the big thing is that there's no, they don't care if they piss you off.
Yeah.
There's no, but I've got a lot of friends who just don't care if they piss me off.
Yeah, no, this is true.
So, anyway, but back to Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
She married a guy. So she married somebody when she was 19.
Okay.
So, and then she split with her husband when she was 21.
Yeah.
And they still stayed together and or stayed in contact. But she had a long-term relationship with 2 women. And in the late 80s, she came out, and she said it was very intense. A lot of her friends walked away from her.
Wow.
So, again, this
crazy.
is the 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is hard to believe that Miss Cleo has been that big of a factor.
For that long.
For that long.
Man.
I mean, in 2000, she had an infomercial. Still
producing.
Yeah.
She's a national treasure, Doug.
Yeah,
When did she die? Just like
literally
a couple days ago?
Let's see. I've done a lot of research on this, so I'm going to have to scroll upwards. Yeah, so she this was on the 26th of July.
Man.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so another little fact is she was in Grand Theft Auto.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So there's all kinds. I'm just trying to get back to where I was previously.
I'm learning a lot, man.
I know.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot to know about Miss Cleo.
Better than college.
She was an intense character.
How old was she, man?
She was 53.
53?
Yeah.
That's like young.
Yeah.
I mean, like for Miss, I thought Mrs. Cleo was 53 back in the day, like back in the 80s, probably because I was younger.
She was battling colon cancer, which had spread to her lungs and liver.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's not brutal. That's brutal.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird, like when you're a kid, though, like anyone over like 25 seems like they're 50?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like Miss Cleo, seemed like she was like an oracle, like 1,000 years old.
People to me, when they say that they're like 50, I'm like, God, you're old.
Yeah.
And like, I'm creeping up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just like, wow.
Yeah. Then you look at your license, you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
What?
How did that happen?
She, Psychic Readers, the Psychic Readers Network, which was hers, sued General Mills in 2015 for using Miss Cleo in a French Toast Crunch commercial.
Huh. Wow. I wonder who's the new Miss Cleo, right? Isn't there always kind of a prodigy? Did she have like?
Well, it's you've seen there's like TV shows, and I just saw there's a new like psychic from like LA.
Psychic Friends Network. And
yeah, but now I think it's more whoever the Kardashians used to find out, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone clamors, and then that guy goes on tour.
Yeah, kind of like the Dr. Phil effect, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's going to, and that guy's going to have whoever he is. I know I saw him. I may have watched.
How do we get in on this action, Doug? Maybe we should change this whole podcast that we tell people the future. Like,
we'll just, they don't even have to call in.
Yeah,
we'll just like take names out of the phone book, and we'll be like, dude,
if your name's Steve,
here's your future.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very unfortunate. And I think it's heartbreaking when people get into this because they're frauds. There's no, you can't look at.
Yeah, no, though, because this is the thing I've learned in life is that, when it comes to like what people believe, if they believe it, they believe it. Like it's impossible to smack sense into people, man. Like, if especially if it works. Like if I go to, my local psychic and pay $25 a week for a half-hour session, right, and she talks about the things I should do or, the amount of sleep or whatever they talk about, and it's working for me and I'm feeling better about it and my life is going good, guess what? I'm going to keep giving her $25 every week. It doesn't matter how wacky everyone else thinks I am. It's working for me, right? And so if you believe it and they believe it, then it's real in a way. I mean, sure, the psychic may sit there and laugh and be like, what an idiot, but most of those people that get into that aren't like that. I know some people that think they can kind of tell the future or have like kind of psychic abilities.
Right.
And they really believe that, like they were born with it. And it's just a gift that they have.
They can see dead people?
Sort of. I mean,
right.
No, I mean, like I have one friend that I'm specifically thinking of. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, there have been things that have happened in my life and they've been like, oh, I knew that was going to happen.
Right.
And like dead serious. Like I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean,
they're friends, so I don't laugh at them too loud. But
no, and maybe it's a real. It could be a real sensation that they have. It's like you get that when you get a new job, you're just like, I know this is going to happen. You can kind of see the future. It's like the what what is it, the storyboards that people put up,
Yeah.
and they like try and manifest their own future.
I don't know anything about this, but I like it. So you're telling me that people draw out their future and hang it on walls and then try to live it?
They make like they cut out things from magazines that they like.
Oh, I've seen that. Like where like a girl, like I remember like I had a girlfriend once and she put like a chick with a really hot body on the refrigerator. And she's like, that's what I want to look like. So like when she went to the refrigerator, she would eat healthy or something. Is that what you're talking about, sort of?
Yeah, well, it's but they put like a full mural up of like all
Who
the
does
things.
this, dude?
I swear.
Like that's like a Robin Williams in 1 hour photo. Like all these pictures of all his friends. People do that then. But this is my point. It sounds goofy. I've never done it, but maybe it works. You know what I mean? And this is the thing though. What I believe, like when you're talking about work or a lot of, I'd say, the majority of things in life, things work out because that's how the world's set up in a weird way. It's like there's expectations, and if you meet those expectations, things kind of, I'm not saying all the world's a play or whatever, but it kind of is, right? Like, things kind of unfold in a logical manner most of the time.
Right.
Like if I go in and order a sandwich, it's going to create a chain of events where the guy's going to make the sandwich, and then I'm going to eat the sandwich. That's a horrible example.
Yeah, something tells me this is a dream you could make happen.
Yeah.
If you put it on a storyboard,
I'm going to eat a sandwich tomorrow.
I'm going to have a sandwich.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I'm going to find bread.
Storyboarding works.
Storyboarding your life. I'm trying to look up the term for
storyboarding is it's like exactly. It's like I'm gonna make a list of things I'm gonna get at the store.
Right.
And then look, I follow the list. And I get the things that I go to the store for. It's got to be more complex than that.
Well, I just remember, again, I love reality television sometimes just for the complete idiocy of a lot of it. But one of them was this group of girls, and they were like from Southern California, and their mom was like a former playmate.
Yeah, awesome.
And she had raised these girls to value celebrity, and she homeschooled them.
Oh, geez.
And one of the things that part of their homeschooling was to sit and look at their board and like plan their board and sit like in front of it for an hour and manifest their future.
Wow. See, I could get into that, I think, depending on what's on the board.
Right.
But so they were homeschooled by a playmate. Like, did they get, like, what was like Us Weekly was their textbooks? I mean, it was like, like they.
It had to be. Yeah. But like even weirder was, remember when there was the gang of people who, like, they were like young and they would follow people on Twitter and then rob their houses?
Yeah.
One of the girls from that was from that show.
Oh, wow.
So I wonder if she storyboarded. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to get busted.
Storyboarding. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I will say about myself. Kind of cynical. Like, it's hard for me to kind of like go all in on some things, but I am open to hearing things out, and I am open to hearing what works for people. Because that's the one thing I've realized in life is that there's multiple ways that people get things done. And find all kinds of positive things in life, joy, whatever, success, financial, whatever it is. There's more than one way to the top of the mountain, if you will, Doug.
Right.
And so if someone storyboards it and it's working for them, like, I'm totally down to listen for that. Like, okay, let's hear it. That's,
I mean, it was definitely. I remember that this was. We made it into 2 movies, so it was like such a big deal that like there was one movie that was made. I've got to find it now.
Well, it's like, wasn't there the thing called The Gift that Oprah did or something? Or was it The Vision, where like you picture it and then it
Vision board. Maybe that's
vision
what
boarding?
it's called.
You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, I picture this and then I remember someone was explaining it to me and they're like, it works. And I'm like, well.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's how to make it. You hit right on it.
What is it called?
It's called vision boards.
Vision boards.
Huffington Post has an article on it called The Reason Vision Boards Work and How to Make One. So visualization is one of the most powerful mind exercises that you can do.
Yeah. Well, there's an old saying. It's and I'm going to get it wrong now, but it's basically what the mind of man can conceive, the mind of man can achieve. So, like, if you can think it, you can do it.
Right.
It's it's like positive thinking, right?
Right.
But someone was telling me that you could sit there and say, I need a new toaster, and you'd visualize the toaster, and then somehow a new toaster would come into your life. And I was like, well, isn't that just like like looking at what you need around the house,
Right.
and going maybe getting a job and then going and buying a toaster, and they're like, no, it's totally different.
Well,
like it'll just appear, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, I think the other part of this is you have a lot. Like, think of all the things that you want right now. Yeah. It's a lot of things, but if you had them on a board and you looked at the board every day and you're like, oh, I'm going to focus on that today.
Yeah, I'm going to focus on that today.
Right.
And then what happens? It just shows up. Like,
I
you
think
make it a priority.
Happened.
You make it a priority that you're going to, like if I want to like make some planter boxes in my backyard and start a garden, I'm going to look at that and it's going to remind me. So it's basically a visual to-do list.
Yeah, it's like basically like, okay, so the TV show was called Pretty Wild.
Yeah.
And it was the Nyers sisters, and they were the ones that they were just bananas, dude. They were it was weird. But then they made a movie called The Bling Ring, and that was all about them.
Oh, these chicks are crazy looking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just trouble, right? Is that their mom right there?
Yeah, their mom is Alexis Nyers.
It's interesting how they look with makeup and then what appears to be a mugshot.
Right. Yeah. Well,
like,
one of
wow.
Wow.
How long was this on for? Were you like the only dude that watched this?
Okay, first of all, let's not pigeonhole me into this. But yeah, I might have been. Yeah, so you're looking at that first
photo. It was only on for one season, bro.
Okay. Well, she went to jail after that. It makes it really hard to have like a show.
How long did you go to jail for? Yeah, it's the last episode's the arrest. This is my question for you. I've done some television, Doug, and some semi kind of reality TV. There's a chance that these aren't even real sisters. You do understand that,
no.
right?
In fact, I think they are really not real sisters.
Okay.
I think one of them...
Like, there's a chance that she never even got arrested. Like, this is just all fake reality TV, right? You do, I mean...
Okay, first of all, don't burst my bubble. I have been on... I've done a couple of reality TV spots.
Yeah.
And I've now found that they are mostly not... There's no credibility to them at all.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, pretty wild. So...
Let's see. I just got on some image gallery for Pretty Wild. This is not a good thing to be looking at.
No, you're gonna be transfixed for a while. They are not ugly girls. Yeah, they
unbelievable.
Yeah,
pretty wild.
So they actually got so Tess Taylor is one of the girls from Pretty Wild.
Was she Miss Cleo's girlfriend?
She was. Did I say Cleo?
No. Oh. I was just trying to throw back.
Okay.
Trying to throw back there.
Yeah. I was like, I could have totally done that by switching back and forth. I'm like really ADD, so I could totally. She is in rehab for black tar heroin, which is great. Obviously, that homeschooling's working really, really well.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. Sometimes audio just pops up.
One minute. Yeah. So she's living in a last was heard that she's living in a Best Western.
Awesome.
Wow. Oh no, this was prior to the show. She was living in a Best Western, panhandling for money. So
and now what is she doing? She's living in like a Holiday Inn, panhandling for money. Like she upgraded a little bit. Like
she's been sober for 3 years apparently.
Oh man, she probably ended up on that Dr. Drew show, right?
Probably.
Like if you're on TV, like no matter what show you're on TV, you always have a second run on like Rehab with Dr. Drew.
Oh yeah, I mean like if you fall, and you want to come back, you just got to go to Dr. Drew, and he'll help you back.
Yeah, you're on.
And then you can start into a new career, and then go on some celebrity dating.
It goes like this: like you have like trashy reality show, you go into rehab. You go into Dr. Drew. By then, like your SAG card has enough to get a pension, and then like basically you end up selling like Beachbody stuff, like vitamins and
you're on
protein shakes.
You're on like the shopping network,
or
something of that nature.
You're done. You're
or you make a split heart necklace or something like that.
Something crazy,
right? So that's pretty wild. I like that we See, this is vomiting rainbows. We are completely vomiting rainbows. We are a tangent within a tangent within a tangent.
For some reason, I thought we were still talking about ISIS and people getting stabbed, and then
no.
All of a sudden
That's the beauty of where we're going with this podcast. We don't really know.
That's right,
or we don't really care. I know you're going to cut this up and make it seem coherent.
No, not at all. This is going straight. This is going straight out there, bro.
Are we gonna? Or you're gonna like attach some sort of like theme song?
Oh yeah. We can do that.
I think you got to give your son a xylophone, and then he's got to do it, and then
you know what my kids are into? Honestly, they're really into making their own dubstep songs.
A dubstep intro would be epic.
Let me see if.
Is it on SoundCloud or Spotify?
Yeah, it is. Hold on.
Oh, whoa.
This is from the Antimatter EP.
Antimatter. I like it.
Yeah. Do you want to hear Destruction or the title track, Antimatter?
I think we have to go with the title track. I like it. I like the redundancy. Definitely a solid start. All right. What do you make this
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
We got like keyboards at the house. We got like drum machines. We got all kinds of things.
All right, so that's pretty good. And Shockwave crashed on this computer. So,
all right.
So
is that it, Doug? Is that episode 1?
Could be episode 1, unless you want to talk about Taylor Swift.
Oh, how can we not talk about Taylor Swift? Let's wrap it up with Taylor Swift talk.
All right. Well, I mean,
come on.
Well, I mean,
isn't 90% of the internet right now about Taylor Swift? Isn't that kind of like?
I think it's between Taylor Swift, the Kardashians, and Trump.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much everything.
Which is kind of sad when you think about like that's the state of the world, right?
Right.
What?
It's insane that right now, if you look at probably the number one news story of last week, it was that Kim Kardashian busted Taylor Swift for lying to Kanye.
Yeah, I can't keep up with that stuff. Like, basically, when it comes, like, I miss the whole Kardashian thing. I mean, I know who they are, and I get it, but I don't get it. And
you didn't watch the OJ thing?
I didn't. I haven't. No, but the thing is, I know enough not to get into it, and
right,
not to really understand it. Like, you know what I mean? Because to me, it's like
it's a wormhole you don't want to go down.
Because I remember, like, I got into I remember the whole Paris Hilton thing, and the whole whatever her name is, I can't remember her name. Lindsay Lohan and like
Nicole Richie.
Yeah, Nicole Richie and those guys. You know, it's just like I don't want to repeat that. I don't want to waste those brain cells to that. I don't want to give, you know, myself to that anymore. So I've built up the ability to recognize what things are and what to stay away from, and that whole thing is one of them. Although I do like Kanye West quotes. I mean, I do like it's awesome.
Dude, it's amazing. And like his Twitter alone,
it's insane.
Like I think between Kanye and Donald Trump,
yeah, like
the two of them should just sit down and they may have talked.
But the thing about Kanye is or the thing that makes it so fascinating is the real world success that these guys have. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who had dinner with Kanye, and he was like,
"What's that even like?"
And Kim, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this guy's super nice, and like I really like. I don't see why everyone is talking so negatively about him." And then he realized that once he started listening to him a little bit more, about halfway through the dinner, he realized that Kanye was referring to himself in the third person.
Yeah. And
then at that point, he was like, "I'm out." Like that's.
So my point is, and this is the thing, like, is that genius? Like what is that on the scale of things? Like if all of a sudden I'm like telling you the story about this guy and I'm going into all this detail, and you're like, "Well, who is this?" And I'm like, "It's me.
It's me."
You know what I mean?
I'm just talking about me.
Man, I just went and saw my friends. Man, I was hanging out with them all day, and like, you know, my one friend was telling me this, and I go into like this whole elaborate story, and it just turns out it's all like the thing that happened in my mind. I mean, there's a certain like wow factor to that. It's like, wow. But that's the thing. It's like, is Kanye really a genius, or is he a genius because he's so ridiculous and gets away with it that it boggles the mind.
I just want to see his vision board.
Yeah, I know. I want to see Kanye West's vision board. I mean, that's the thing. If he vision boards, he should do his vision boards for the month and publish it in volumes, and people would buy it.
Oh, without a doubt. I love that Deadmau5 called Kanye out. Like Kanye he tweeted a picture of working on some new album.
Yeah.
And in the picture, Kanye had BitTorrent sites.
Yeah.
And then one of the BitTorrents was for Deadmau5's beats.
That's awesome.
And it was like something small. Like it was like he'd asked for like $100 or $70 for Deadmau5's to buy his beats.
Yeah.
And it was like nothing major. And Kanye was torrenting them.
Yeah.
And then he came out that he was bankrupt, and Deadmau5 sent him a tweet "Oh, I'm sorry, and he started a Kickstarter to help Kanye buy
weird. Yeah, it's almost like that's like 50 Cent. So he's bankrupt, but I followed 50 Cent a little bit on Instagram, him and Floyd Mayweather, and I'm pretty sure those guys have a unique relationship. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
But it would be 50 Cent and Floyd Mayweather, and I'm not joking. $500,000 in cash stacked on a table.
Yeah,
and it's just them and with money,
right.
And it's what, and they just they show all their gambling receipts, they just throw $500,000 on a fight,
right?
And win, and they're yeah, we just won the money team, and you're these guys are insane,
right?
But that's what happened to 50 Cent. The IRS basically saw all this money and was dude,
you're not broke.
Yeah, it got him in some trouble, but that's what makes me realize I clearly don't understand true mega wealth. Because apparently, if you're mega wealthy, you're bankrupt, have no money, yet have billions of dollars in assets and cash laying around,
right?
Somehow. But you're broke,
right?
Money.
Yeah. Well, it's IRS broke.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's like hiding your assets so that you don't have to pay any money, and you go out publicly and say how in debt you are.
Which is great, but then you shouldn't be posting that stuff on Instagram.
Exactly.
Right?
Keep the story consistent.
Or maybe it's all relative. Maybe if you have $500,000 in cash, but you used to have, $1 billion in cash, to you are broke. In his world, he is broke.
Right.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've accomplished a podcast of some sort.
I think we did.
I hope that anyone who listens to this podcast will comment and tell us what we should do or what we shouldn't do.
Yes.
And give us ideas and maybe more direction.
Yes.
And then follow us.
I'm all about having a comment section to help produce this.
Absolutely.
It's less work for us to do.
Yeah, exactly. And if you know other sites that we should focus on or other stories that we should focus on, we're totally
I like heavy.com, though. I wouldn't mind starting with heavy each time.
Doug and Mike vomit rainbows. And then for this podcast, we'll put stabbing, Miss Cleo.
Yeah. Stabbing Cleo.
Stabbing Cleo, Nyers, Taylor.
Wild Girls.
Yeah, Wild Girls and Taylor Swift.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kanye.
All right, so you're going to have a site and all this stuff, man?
Yeah, we're going to work on that.
Okay.
After we get our T-shirts.
So when you're listening, exactly, get those shirts made.
Right.
So if you're listening to this, thanks for finding the website. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.
All right.